faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'm going to interpret the book The Confidence Code for you. This is a book that helps women rediscover and boost their confidence. And in life, we often lack confidence, like hesitating to call a crush, worrying about performing well in tomorrow's annual review meeting. Even if we're likable and doing great at work, women still fear they're not good enough. An American economics professor did a study and found that men in the workplace ask for raises 4 times more often than women. And when it comes to specific salary requests, women ask for 30% less than men. Another British professor studied gender differences in pay expectations and found women undervalue their contributions by 20% compared to men. Notably, lack of confidence isn't directly linked to ability. Even highly accomplished women can be bafflingly insecure. Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook, once doubted she'd succeed. Christine Lagarde, head of the IMF, and Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, also inexplicably felt they lacked the expertise to handle things, showing how confidence gaps limit women's progress. So, what methods can help women build confidence? The Confidence Code tackles this question head on. The authors are 2 journalists, Katty Kay, a top BBC correspondent and anchor in Washington, and Claire Shipman. Shipman is an ABC News reporter. They interviewed outstanding women, including political elites, female generals, and entrepreneurs. They found that confidence at work is also part of talent. Plus, from these women, they gathered practical tips on fostering confidence. Next, I'll break down the book's main ideas into 3 parts for you. First, what is confidence? Second, what affects women in gaining confidence? First, what ways can help women boost their confidence? Let's start with the first point. What is confidence? When we say we're confident, does it mean feeling good about ourselves and thinking we can handle anything? If it were that simple, just shouting a slogan like "I can do it" would solve all problems. In fact, confidence is more complex than we imagine. Neurologists believe confidence is rooted in our DNA, while psychologists tell us it's a product of subjective choice. Directors and sports coaches say confidence comes from hard work and training. So, what exactly is confidence? In this book, the authors define confidence as the fuel that turns thoughts into action. That means when facing a situation, confidence converts our thoughts into judgments, assessing what we can do, then transforms those judgments into action. For example, wanting to ask your boss for a raise is just a thought. If you're full of doubts, worrying your boss might reject your proposal or think less of you, you'll keep that thought bottled up. Without speaking up, your boss won't know you want a raise. And even with great work, getting that pay bump becomes tough. But if you're confident, believing your work is outstanding and the raise justified, you'll bravely take action to negotiate with your boss. Confidence is the belief that you want to accomplish something and can actually do it. Confidence separates those who dare to act from those who only dare to think. Psychologist Estes from the University of Milan conducted an experiment with 500 students, asking them to complete 3D puzzle tests. He found girls scored much lower than boys, not because they were less smart or had poorer spatial skills, but because many didn't even attempt the questions, lacking confidence in their abilities and choosing avoidance. So Estes required the girls to at least attempt the puzzles. Guess what happened then? The girls' scores shot up, matching the boys' performance. When you believe you can succeed, when confidence inspires action, then after taking action, you gain more confidence. And confidence, like an engine, provides continuous momentum for life. And whether in the workplace, competitive arenas, or dating, if you meet someone smart and witty, confidence will drive you to pick up the phone and ask them out. But if you don't dare take action and keep your thoughts hidden, the other person can't possibly develop feelings for you. So just like Nike's slogan says, just do it, go for it. Now we know what confidence is, But in daily life, we often notice that compared to men, women tend to lack confidence. What affects women's ability to gain confidence? That's our second point to discuss. The reasons include both innate and acquired factors. Let's start with the innate ones. Scientific research shows that biological differences between genders make men naturally more confident than women. First difference lies in hormone secretion, like serotonin, a neurotransmitter that boosts positivity and decision making confidence. Conversely, reduced serotonin leads to depression and negative emotions, hindering action and causing self doubt. Studies show men's brains produce serotonin 52% faster than women's, meaning men are born more confident. Besides serotonin, other hormones also affect confidence levels. For example, higher estrogen in women enhances bonding and communication, aiding social observation. But this also makes women avoid conflict and risk taking, appearing less confident in action. Meanwhile, higher testosterone in men reduces risk sensitivity, making them fearless, adventurous, and more confident. Second difference lies in brain structure. As we know, the brain has two substances, gray matter and white matter. Researchers believe men have more gray matter, enabling decisive action, while women's extra white matter aids thorough planning but causes hesitation. Additionally, female brain regions are 30% more active than males during specific moments. This neural activity enhances intuition and empathy, but also increases anxiety and frustration. Anxiety and concern, constantly accumulating, gradually erode confidence. We've covered the innate factors affecting women's confidence. Now let's talk about acquired factors. French thinker Simone de Beauvoir had this view in The Second Sex. One is not born a woman, one becomes one. That is to say, throughout women's development, the entire social environment makes them lack confidence. First, our educational environment has different expectations for girls than for boys. If a boy is mischievous, people find it normal, even seeing it as a sign of cleverness. But if a girl is mischievous, people might blame her. Over time, women become less adept at self expression, fearing mistakes and risks, thus growing less confident. Secondly, women also face more prejudice and harsher social judgments in society. Take a very common prejudice in life, the stigmatization of female drivers. A study found that the media links female drivers to road killers 37 times more often than male drivers. Many people, at the mention of female drivers, first think of them as clumsy. But what are the facts? According to a study by Beijing Jiaotong University, male drivers have 9 times the accident rate of female drivers. Not only that, male drivers also tend to have high frequency accidents, meaning the same person causes multiple incidents, which is foolish. This study surveyed over 20,000 accident drivers, and all those with 5 or more accidents in a year were male. Besides this, society is also harsher on women regarding personality, temperament, and even appearance. If a woman in a team speaks her mind directly, like a male colleague, acting assertively, she'll hear more nasty, sarcastic remarks, constantly undermining her confidence. And the more successful a woman is, the more such encounters she'll face. In 2008, when Hillary Clinton ran for US president, media evaluations of her included shrewd, but also cold and foolish, because she presented many unconventional views and a strong attitude during the campaign. But expressing different opinions and having a strong attitude is very normal behavior in politics. If a male candidate did the same, people wouldn't see any problem with it. Secondly, regarding appearance, an international study shows that 90% of women want to change at least one physical feature, such as having a higher nose bridge, fuller breasts, or fairer skin. 81% of girls fear being overweight, while only 2% of women consider themselves beautiful. And appearance impacts genders differently. Studies show overweight girls face greater difficulty joining clubs, societies, or sports teams. Teachers also have lower academic expectations for heavier girls, while boys rarely face this issue. Because socially, beauty is a key resource for women. If a woman is overweight, people may even assume she has intellectual or self control issues, whereas heavier men might benefit seen as stronger, competitive, and smarter. Different educational expectations, ability biases, and harsh social judgments place women under double standards. This makes women's mentality more sensitive than men's. For example, women crave universal approval, setting mental barriers before tough workplace negotiations. Or they fear criticism, withholding good ideas due to overthinking, and so on. All this constantly undermines women's confidence, making them hesitate to take action for greater success. All right, we've covered innate and acquired factors affecting women's confidence. So, can this be changed? Absolutely, yes. Scientists studying macaques found some monkeys genetically lack confidence while others are born bold. Those lacking confidence genes become anxious, depressed, and withdrawn without positive influences. But if raised by confident mother monkeys, they become optimistic and proactive. This shows environment can largely overcome genetic disadvantages. So, even born less confident, women can cultivate strong self assurance through proper methods. Now, let's discuss point 3, how women can boost confidence. Since women's lack of confidence stems largely from societal environment, the first change must be society's attitude toward women. Many institutions are already making efforts to change unfair evaluation systems for women and provide more support. For example, in the 1970s, only 5% of the musicians in the New York Philharmonic were women. Why was that the case? Because judges habitually believed that women's ability to play classical music was inferior to men's. Later, the judging panel set up a screen during new employee auditions, blocking the candidates from view. This way, judges could only hear the performance without knowing the performer's gender. By the 1990s, the proportion of female musicians rose to 25% and later even exceeded 50%. This example fully illustrates that if women are given fair competitive opportunities, they will achieve greater success. Apart from societal changes, what can women themselves do? The authors believe there are 3 cognitive approaches that can help women boost their confidence. The first method is not fearing mistakes and bravely stepping out of the comfort zone. Unlike most men, women only show confidence when they feel perfect. It can be said that women fear failure more than men. For instance, feeling their speech draft isn't good enough, so they tremble while speaking, afraid of poor performance. Due to fear of failure, women are also more accustomed to staying in their psychological comfort zone. For example, some people might choose to give up on a speech when facing a full audience. Giving up is their comfort zone. So, such a comfort zone isn't necessarily safe, comfortable, or satisfying. Therefore, women must first cognitively embrace mistakes and step out of the comfort zone. Tell yourself that even if something fails, we often lose less than imagined. And so called perfection is achieved through repeated practice. Only by doing it will you understand where improvements are needed. Otherwise, letting worry bind you is meaningless. The book's co author, Claire, once wanted to try impromptu speaking. Even though she knew her speaking skills were good, she was very afraid of performing poorly on the spot. So she set a goal for herself. No matter what, just try it first. Even if some parts aren't smooth, so what? Through repeated attempts, Claire continuously learned new speaking techniques and overcame her lack of confidence. And this is the truly meaningful part. You can also start changing yourself bit by bit from small daily things. For example, if you're afraid of meeting strangers, then try handing them a drink at a party and introducing yourself. If you don't dare to attend parties alone, then invite a few good friends beforehand to avoid backing out. If you want a promotion or raise but are too shy to ask, Practice negotiation scenarios with friends first. Tell them about your future work plans. These small attempts help women gradually prepare for change. And leave those seemingly safe and comfortable zones to win an amazing life. The second method to boost confidence is to reduce overthinking and shift attention more. Compared to men, women tend to be more anxious, more hesitant, and very good at worrying themselves. These factors distract women's attention, consume their talents, and hinder their path to success. How to suppress overthinking? The method is to learn to shift attention promptly. Imagine in an emergency, you need to save a child. Would you stop and ask yourself, am I saving them well? Then go forward to save them. No, your attention is fully focused on the child in danger, thinking about how to save them, not distracted by whether you're performing well. So when women face a challenge, they shouldn't first think, I can't do it or I'll mess up. Instead, shift attention to how to respond positively, quickly, and get things done. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, imagine you're speaking for the team's interests, not for yourself. By shifting attention, women can stop obsessing over their feelings and self-evaluation. Thinking about those things only makes people feel depressed and hinders taking action. For another example, some women at annual events always feel their behavior isn't elegant enough, or their outfit isn't perfect, worrying that others are gossiping behind their back. If you always think like this, confidence is more easily damaged. But know that everyone's busy with their own lives and doesn't have time to care about what you're doing. Realizing you're not always the center of attention is also a way to help women shift focus. The third method is to break negative habitual thinking and learn to affirm your achievements positively. Many women tend to think negatively, like no matter how outstanding they are, they always feel colleagues' projects are better, the boss will promote colleagues, or when they speak socially, they'll embarrass themselves, and so on. Over time, this becomes a negative thought habit, making people less and less confident. No matter what they do, they feel it's not good enough, so they become even less confident to try boldly. So, how do we break this thought habit? An effective method is to find another thought to replace the negative one. For example, when worrying about low work efficiency, shift your thinking to how diligent and careful you are, more than capable of handling this job. Additionally, maintaining consistency between behavior and thoughts can help us break negative habitual thinking. One simple trick is to write down negative thoughts on a small slip of paper, then tear it up. This symbolic act will make you start believing the negative thoughts have vanished. Moreover, women are often more modest than men, and sometimes we're overly modest. Like when it's clearly their achievement, women prefer to stay behind the scenes. So women should bravely showcase their achievements, affirm themselves, and also learn to accept compliments. When someone praises you, try saying thank you instead of shyly staying silent. All right, that's it for the three methods to boost confidence at the cognitive level. They are courageously leaving the comfort zone, shifting attention, and learning to positively affirm oneself. Finally, I'll introduce 4 practical tips for boosting confidence. The first is speaking loudly. Whether you can express your views powerfully is one indicator of confidence. Speak loudly, bravely express your will with your voice. This can help women quickly change behaviorally and become more confident. When you need to stand by your views in a meeting, appropriately raise your volume and focus your speech on team goals or higher purposes. This also boosts women's confidence. The second is learning meditation because it calms the brain. When the brain calms down, the fear center, the amygdala, shrinks, improving emotional control. With emotions controlled, actions naturally become more organized. The third is getting good sleep, exercising more, and sharing feelings with friends. Lack of sleep and exercise can make people anxious, while intimate sharing helps relieve it. For example, chatting with friends boosts oxytocin levels, and oxytocin positively correlates with confidence. Fourth, adopt powerful postures. Presentation often matters. When we sit upright, maintain eye contact, and nod actively during conversations, these actions make us feel more confident. Experiments show that when women adopt dominant male postures, spreading arms and legs, their testosterone levels actually increase. And testosterone greatly benefits confidence building. Above are the methods to help women boost confidence. As the authors say, confidence is a choice. When you choose to be more confident, you'll find life full of more possibilities and excitement. All right, on confidence, we'll conclude our interpretation of the code here. The reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.